Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to After the Snap. I'm your host, Tasha Pierce, and this is an early afternoon weekly wrap up. I don't know. I'm trying to see who I might catch earlier in the day. Um, so how's everybody doing? If anybody's there, if you're there, please let me know in the chat. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. I didn't put nothing shiny on my lips. Silly me. Silly me. Okay, well. This is the weekly wrap up. So, weekly wrap ups are usually where we talk about the prior week's box office, which is not a bunch of conversation to be had. The box office was rather weak this week, but we still got to talk about it. In fact, if you watched my box office top five for last week, it's the exact same movies in the exact same order, but we're still going to, hey, bud. Still going to talk about the box office. We're going to talk a little bit about what was his name, Dr. Umar Johnson, his appearance on the Breakfast Club last week. Now, I did a series of videos about his about the conversation that he had about Deion Sanders. So if you want to talk about Deion Sanders, we can. But what I really wanted to touch on, and I hope I still have the clip, is what he said about Barack Obama. So I want to touch, I want to touch on that, just because what he said about Barack Obama is how conspiracy theories get started. How some people who have never heard of this conspiracy will get in on the ground floor, and it starts with, and I'm losing my voice, and it starts with but the small stupid step of believing these conspiracies about Barack Obama. So we'll talk about that. And then of course we're going to talk about Michelle Yeoh, because Michelle Yeoh has been everywhere, everything, everywhere, all at once. The lady is on fire in 2022. So, and y'all know, if you're not new here, if you've been around for a minute, you know how much I love Michelle Yeoh. So it's just like, I'm so glad she's getting her flowers. We'll talk about that too. And then randomly, as a matter of fact, off the top, let's talk about that. Randomly, somebody called in a bomb threat to a doggone Patti LaBelle concert. Now, I want to know what kind of loser you have to be to go to us, or to call this the uh, concert hall where a 78-year-old woman is performing and call in a bomb threat. Let me see. I'm going to find it here before I play. If you didn't know, I was yeah, I was running late, like real late. It's 12:30 in the afternoon sounds great until it's 12:30 in the afternoon. And it don't sound so good. Let's see. Go to these videos. Okay, so I'm going to share a video. Patti LaBelle, when they found out that she was having, when they found out that a threat had been called in. Let's see. Doo-doo-doo. I know they're gonna play a commercial first. I don't know why I didn't just go to YouTube where there are no commercials. As a matter of fact, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go to YouTube. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm gonna go to YouTube and I'm just gonna play it from there, because I forgot it's gonna be commercials, and I ain't got time. I ain't got time. I ain't got time. Oh. If only you knew. Okay, here we go. Patti LaBelle about to be rushed off stage because some idiot calls a bomb threat in for whatever reason. The 78-year-old woman's concert. You want to scare the bejesus out of everybody and almost get this lady a heart attack. She said, wait. They rushed her up out of there like, no, you come now. So yeah, they were able, of course, they was able to evacuate everybody. There was no bomb present at the scene. But the fact, so yeah, so people, we got to be careful. And the reason why I'm saying that is because this is a sign of the times. And I'm not saying it was racially motivated. It could be anything. It could have just been some people doing a prank. It could be people who just don't like Patti LaBelle for whatever reason. And it could be politically or racially motivated. We don't know because of the times that we're in. But in what was in Germany a couple of days ago, as a matter of fact, in Germany a couple of days ago, there was a situation where of political unrest where some of the citizens tried to do a coup. Yeah, somebody tried to do a coup, and it was, of course, a right wing kind of faction, of a political faction, and they wanted to overthrow the government and install a king, a monarch, and it was the same type of ish that was going on here. But now you look at this. This is an entirely different uh, uh, country, and they're doing the exact same kinds of stuff. They were they literally tried to overthrow the government, and we've had our coup attempt here, and we refused to call it what it was, but it was a coup attempt. Things are going back to the times of um, if we don't agree on things, the only way to solve it is through violence. So I'm saying, everybody, keep your eyes and ears open where you are and what you're doing, because this stuff is becoming far more prevalent, number one, and it's actually getting more scary to me. So yeah, Lysandra, the foo-foos and tried to call in a bomb threat on Patty. And Patty was like, wait, what? She didn't know what was going on. They had to rush her up off the stage. But I'm glad that nothing happened. And I'm glad there was no bomb present. I'm glad everybody got out of the theater safely. Nothing, no people getting toppled or getting ran over and bum rushed. And it was an older crowd though. So we tend to behave ourselves. So yeah, that's crazy. Now I'm trying to see if I still got that Dr. Umar. Yeah, I'm behind because I was uh doing I mean forgetting what time it was. I was in there doing my hair. Here we are. Um, I'm gonna share. Condition while was Barack Obama made president? And I don't know. I hope I got the whole thing. Now, if you don't know, I don't want to talk about Dr. Umar bad. I think Dr. Umar's heart is sometimes in the right place, but he's also a grifter. Dr. Umar will rob you of your money. Um, and we could talk about him on more on the other side, but I want you to check out this clip from the from his appearance on The Breakfast Club, where he talks about former President Barack Obama. So I'm going to share that screen with you as well. Okay, so that's Dr. Umar Johnson. We're going to get into what he had to say about Barack Obama.
The poorest condition. Why was Barack Obama made president? And it had nothing to do with America reinventing herself. Okay, why has multiculturalism been used as a weapon against African people? Building.
Can you answer that President Obama question? I'd like to know the answer to that.
Oh, Barack Obama was made president for two reasons. Domestically, he was made president to force alternative sexual lifestyles onto Black children, sexual confusion as a means of population control. And internationally, he was made president to go to Africa and to force AFRICOM there, to build military bases all throughout the continent. And guess what? There's been about 6 coups in Africa over the past year, and every single coup was in a country with a United States military base. No coincidence. America only practices democracy where the person who wins the election has an agenda that is in the interest of America. Charlemagne, you can be elected president, but if your agenda is not in the interest of the white power structure, you will be overthrown. Democracy only lasts as long as the person winning the election is favorable to the agenda of the power structure.
Well, I think you see that all the time, especially with the GOP. You saw that in Georgia, right? They didn't care if Herschel Walker was a terrible candidate. They knew that if he got into the Senate, he was going to do the bidding of the GOP.
Who won the runoff?
Warnock.
Warnock won.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Here's what I'm going to say to that. And my maternal ancestry is from Georgia. It didn't make a difference if Warnock won. It didn't make a difference if Herschel Walker won, because both of them are candidates who are aligned with 2 white racist political parties. The Democratic Party don't care about Black people. The Republican Party don't care about Black people. Raphael Warnock hasn't done nothing his first term. He's not going to do nothing his second term.
I'm stopping him right there because we run back. He said there were 6 coup attempts in Africa this year. So one thing about Dr. Umar Johnson is anything he says, it's in your best interest, even though he sounds very, he sounds authoritative. He sounds like he knows what he's talking about and that he has just so much information. He's confident in the way that he explains something. But Dr. Umar Johnson sometimes is just sitting there lying. I can stumble over my words, but be telling you the truth. Dr. Umar Johnson, first of all, has the doctor in front of his name. So you already give him a level of respect and esteem. You put a little bit more trust in him because he's Dr. Umar Johnson. And then after his doctor thing gets you pulled in, he sounds so confident in what he's saying that you just tend to believe him without asking any questions or going any further. You believe him because he's a man, because he's a doctor, and because of the way that he delivers his information. But Dr. Umar Johnson will lie, will sit and he will tell a falsehood with the straightest of faces. So I'm going to, because I'll lie too. But you know what else I'll do? I'm going to fact check the shit out of you because I'm going to make sure that you're not telling me a lie because I'm a liar. Somebody else been fact checking him. Okay, so there were 6 coups in Africa. However, that was not this year. So it's over the course of several years, in fact. Let's let me let's see. You can go to usip.org publications. They're talking about coups in Africa. They have gone back to beyond 2014. So not this year, but in maybe this century. because not even this decade, maybe within the last decade, there have been 6 coup attempts in Africa. Hello, ET. I don't know who you are. How you doing? But yeah, so in this decade, there's been 6 coup attempts in African, but not this year. Dr. Umar has lied again. Let's finish. Listen to what he had to say.
And if Herschel Walker would have won, it would have been the same thing. One of the things we have to do as Black people, we have to get off this Republican Democratic political dichotomy because it does not serve us and it wasn't created for our interests. That is a white intellectual conversation, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat.
I agree with that.
Our dichotomy is not democracy or republicanism. Our dichotomy is freedom or oppression. That's the Black dichotomy. Who belongs to the Freedom Party? Who belongs to the House Negro Party? That's it. Look at the Congressional Black Caucus. 59 African Americans. And more than half of them are old enough to be your grandparents. Why do we have people in the CBC in their 70s?
Now, this is where I agree.
In their 60s.
I do agree with some of the things that he is saying, because it's an argument that I have all the time, except for I don't just limit it to Black people. I say worldwide, or not worldwide, nationwide, in positions of the most power, we have people who are the oldest. And while you want your elders, you want to take wisdom from your elders, there is a time, and he's going to say the quote that I love so much. There's a young man's good for, an old man good for counsel, a young man's good for war. When it's time to fight these agendas, make sure that people are getting what they need, actually staying in tune with the needs of the people, I think that is a young person's job. Older people have already got their mind set. Older people don't have their they don't have their fingers on the pulse of what is happening now. They go back too far. They can go back too far. And they a lot of the things that we look at as kind of current it happened a long time ago. So I'm 50 years old. But 1990 don't seem that far away from me. You know what I mean? So 1990 is not that long ago to me. I was in high school and I can remember it. It was, but that's a long ass time ago. We're not young people. Even if you want to pretend, and that's another thing that I hate that we do. We want to pretend that we're younger. We want to try and fit in with the younger crowd. We are not them. Our minds go back further than when they were born, from when they were born. We need to let them start to lead. We need to help them along, but we need to allow them to lead, because we'll be gone soon. And when we're gone, you want a better system in place than what we inherited. Because right now, you see, we're going back to now with people our age and older in charge of everything. We're going back to a time when my mom was in college. The thinking has not changed. We need more progressive thought, and we need it on both sides of the aisle, all sides. Democrats, Republicans, independents, everybody needs to be, I guess, a little more current with their thinking. Where do we want to be in 10 to 15 years? Not looking at where we are right now and thinking, oh, this is pretty good. Or looking at where we are right now and like me saying, this looks really familiar. We've done this before. Hey, Thomas. Long time no see, bud. So yeah, that was just my conversation about Dr. Umar, because he's a problem. And the reason why I say he's a problem is simply because he sounds like he knows what he's talking about. You trust him, and he is not a good dude. Let me see, where's my folder I got a folder with some numbers in it. Give me just 1 second while I get that. Okay, so you guys usually catch me doing the box office top 5 after I have filmed my little video. Well, I haven't filmed it yet. So you guys are getting a raw box office top 5. And like I said, if you watch my box office top 5 last week, nothing has changed. It's the same box office as it was last week. And the box office is not doing so great because of it. But we know that that's going to change this week. We'll get into that in a moment. We'll just go through our box office right now. Moving from the bottom to the top, we'll talk about in its third week is Devotion from Colombia, 2.2 million or $2.02 million. Number 4 is The Menu, Searchlight in week 4, $2.8 million. Strange World from Disney is at $3.8 million, and it's struggling. Violent Night, surprise, 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 had a weekend of $8.7 million. And Black Panther Wakanda Forever from Disney is still chugging along. It had a fifth weekend of $11.2 million. That is the best of 2022, meaning this is the first movie for 2022 that has remained number 1 at the box office for 5 consecutive weeks. So Black Panther Wakanda Forever still doing its thing worldwide. Dang, I don't even have that number. Listen at me. Oh, domestically is what I meant. Domestically right now, Black Panther Wakanda Forever is sitting at about $410 million right here in North America. I think over, let me pull that number up. I think worldwide it is at something like 760 something million. And I honestly believe that because Avatar is coming out this week, that it won't get to 900 million. I don't know if I'm being a little premature in my thinking, but I'm going to pull up just to be sure about that domestic total for Wakanda Forever. Oh, I hit the wrong button. So 410 million. I got the domestic right. It's the worldwide that I want to look at. So let's go back to worldwide. Black Panther Wakanda Forever worldwide is at $769 million plus. And we still have Avatar is about to come and suck the air out of the box office. I mean, we need it. We definitely need the box office to be resurrected like Black Panther did 5 weeks ago. But it's now the Black Panther Wakanda Forever will probably be lucky, and this is just Tasha's thinking, we'll probably be lucky to get to 900 million. And I don't even see it getting there. They would have to keep it in theaters for a lot longer for it to get to 900 million, unless there is some place that hasn't opened it yet that's going to open it soon. Other than that, it's about to be Avatar's world in about 2-3 days. Speaking of Avatar, did you see that James Cameron had suffered a bout of COVID and had to miss the premiere? Yeah, so James Cameron was unable to make it to the premiere of Avatar: The Way of Water because he caught COVID. COVID's still out here doing its thing, man. I promise you. Speaking of doing its thing, there is another piece of info that I had shared, and I'm trying to see if everybody knew. If you're a music lover, and you like R&B and some like a little bit of rap, but I like, I'm older. I'm getting to where uh rap would be like my old rap. I would like old rap music from my era, but now I'm not too much a hip hop fan the way I used to be, or I don't keep up with hip hop the way I used to. Way to go, mouse. My mouse is trying to freeze up. Yeah, I don't keep up with hip hop the way I used to. Let's see. So if I get to talking about music, it is not going to be hip hop music. I'm sorry, guys. If you are a rap or any other type of music besides R&B or yeah, that's my thing. Comments. Yeah, I've already cleared these for copyright. This is my video. They might have got me on the Dr.Umar show. I appreciate you looking out for me though, because yep, I have played videos on here before. I have played videos on here before where I have gotten hit with the copyright strike. So there's that. So yeah, next year music looks absolutely bonkers. You're getting people who have not come out in decades. We got Anita Baker. You got Sade. We're gonna see Jill Scott. You're gonna see Janet Jackson. You're gonna see New Edition, Babyface, Usher. Usher is gonna be through with his residency in Las Vegas, I think, and then he's going out. It's gonna be a big year for music. So if you are a music lover, keep your ear to the ground because that is definitely happening and happening soon. All right, so James Gunn. Now, James Gunn has always been accessible. He's always been a type of creative, a director, a producer, or what have you, who stays in contact with his audience. And he does it unilaterally. He has always been very accessible. He said towards the beginning of the year when he was made the head over at DC, he said that he would probably be not as accessible because of the sheer scope of what he has to take on now, and as far as trying to build a future for DC and its fandom. What are we going to do with this universe? He said, I'm still here. I'm just not going to be as accessible. Well, seems like he's got more time than he thought. James Gunn, James Gunn has been out here in these Twitter streets catching trolls, catching people who are putting falsehoods and passing it out off as news And he is calling them out on their BS. And I love the fact that we got a studio head that is not afraid to call out trolls. For instance, this past weekend was one where the Den of Nerds came out. And I used to like Den of Nerds, BT Dubs. I really did. But Den of Nerds came out and they said, oh, James Gunn doesn't like Henry Cavill, and that Superman is not a priority at DC. And let me see what Den of Nerds, what their subscriber count looks like on YouTube, because I mean, and on Twitter for that matter. For that matter, I can't believe that they are just making this stuff up. I really hope that somebody is coming to them and saying this is the truth, and then they're reporting it, and it's turning out that it's not. But what's the name? James Gunn was having none of it. None of it. And I'm going to share a couple of tweets so that you guys can get a gist of what this little beef looked like over. Oh, come on, mouse. Battery must be running down in my mouse. Which means I'm going to have to go find a battery, Lord. Really? 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 That's going to aggravate me. That's going to aggravate me. My mouse is just like not cooperating. There. Finally. Good Lord. I might have to stop and find a battery. As a matter of fact, if I can, give me a moment. Maybe you can look at that for a second while I while I find a battery for my mouse. Okay, back. That was a quick fix. Okay. So yeah. Hey there, Clarence. Say, doesn't like Henry Cavill. Yeah, that's what Den of Nerds. And I forgot the guy's name is Josh. I used to listen to them, or yeah, I used to watch his videos all the time. Then I started to notice how problematic he could be. But so he came out, Josh from Den of Nerds, and I don't know, maybe if I can make this bigger. He came out and said, just like, again, with so much confidence and authority, James Gunn does not like Henry Cavill. Somebody asked James Gunn to debunk this one, right? So the Den of Nerds guy says James Gunn doesn't like Henry Cavill. James Gunn came out and said, oh shit, I don't have the exact quote because it was funny as hell. Gosh, I need to find the whole. Oh, I want to find the whole exchange. Okay. Because James Gunn came out. I agree, Clarence. Now I didn't watch him on Star Wars Theory, but I heard the guy from Star Wars Theory was not as bad as Josh from the Den of Nerds. But I did. For a long time, I liked Josh from the Den of Nerds until it was like very certain content of his that I would watch. But then when I started the more stuff I watched, I started to realize this is not a person who I want to be listening to. It's like you said, he's far, far more cynical than I prefer. So he said this thing Henry Cavill doesn't like. I mean, James Gunn doesn't like Henry Cavill, and he also went on saying that Henry Cavill may not be returning as Superman, even though they had already announced it, and that Superman wasn't a high priority for James Gunn's DC. So James Gunn came out and said, basically, no, it's not true. Which made Josh from the Den of Nerds double down on what he said. Now, this is the double down. He says, even more people have reached out to me since you said this to tell me you really don't like him. Just saying what I heard. And again, it's a difference if you have an opinion about something and you say, this is my opinion. It's something entirely different when you say it with authority. Just like I was talking about Dr. Umar Johnson, how authoritatively he says things and he be really telling a big fat lie. Well, this is Den of Nerds Josh. He said, he didn't say, I heard James Gunn doesn't like Henry Cavill. He said he said specifically, James Cavill does not like. It's too early in the afternoon. Lord have mercy. Why are all these names swimming around in my head like this? He specifically said James Gunn doesn't like Henry Cavill. He didn't say, I think. He didn't say, I heard. He said it. James Gunn comes out and says, no, I have no problem with Henry Cavill. And then instead of just taking that L and walking away, he doubles down. And wait till we get to the point where James Gunn kills him in the comments. I agree, Clarence. It's one thing, again, to say, I heard that. I think this. Once that person comes out and said, that's not true, that's the end of it. Instead, he doubles down. And then James Gunn hits him with this. So weird. You seem so plugged in. Anyway, I just had 40 people reach out to me to say you just got kicked out of your mom's basement. So sorry, man. This thing has been everywhere at this point. To be quite honest, Clarence, this man is really mad because now he's got this and this is what I heard. I have to say this the way I'm saying him. This is what I heard. I heard that Den of Nerds Josh has a shadow account basically on Reddit. There is an account that echoes a lot of the things that Josh from Den of Nerds says on Reddit. And for some reason felt it necessary to share over on Reddit this tweet and start dogging James Gunn out over there. Now, not saying that he can't, that Den of Nerds, Josh, can't have a fan who does this kind of thing, goes around and corrects people who say something mean about their friend. But the fact that Josh, moments after this person over on Reddit posted this, he screenshotted it and posted it on his page like he's got people on his team. James Gunn is not having it. This is not the only person that James Gunn has come out and really put the fact check on. James Gunn is definitely paying attention to Twitter. If people are tagging him, especially if you're saying his name, especially, he comes out and he if you're saying it and it's wrong, he's going to correct you, especially the bigger your following is. And I do need to find out exactly how many followers the dude Josh has from Den of Nerds. And of course, I can't. Yeah, I'm just coming up with his. I guess I might have to go and search Den of Nerds. People. Oh, where is the Den of Nerds? Got a lot of James Gunn, not much Den of Nerds. So let's see. There he is. So he has 16,000 followers. So 16,000 people who can be repeating what he says and what he puts out there as truth. I've got 600 followers, right? I'm not about to hurt the entire fandom with me saying something ignorant, even though I try my hardest not to say ignorant shit. But Josh could cause a problem. He's got 16,000 people who follow him on Twitter, and I just for ish and gigs, I'm gonna see how many people he has over on YouTube, because I'm pretty sure it's a pretty big following. Den of Nerds has 196,000 people, 196,000 subscribers. And as you can see, his video, 5 reasons Marvel Phase 4 sucked. Now, but he's reacting to another person's. Okay, I'm not gonna pick on Josh for that. But you see, he's gotten 44,000 views out of James Gunn attacked me on Twitter. Wild Star Wars leaks and reports. James Gunn, Henry Cavill, the DCU. Like I said, he is milking that. Like Clarence said, he is milking the fact that he got a reaction out of James Gunn, but that's not the reaction I would like to have. If James Gunn comes out and speaks to me, I wouldn't want it to be because I was spreading a bunch of misinformation about his studio. Just me. James Gunn has also came out and clarified that he has no issue with Henry Cavill, and in fact, Superman is a high priority with the new DC regime. So I keep clicking up out of my screen. I'm sorry. I thought I could do an early afternoon, and maybe if I do it a couple more times, I'll feel a little bit more centered. But right now, I feel off kilter. Really, I do. So James Gunn says Superman is a huge priority and debunks rumors of where he stands with Henry Cavill. This thing got so big, it went to Deadline. It went to the trades, Variety. Other trades are reporting on this situation. So DC Studios co-head James Gunn is back on Twitter replying to fans, and we're going to put that in scare quotes. And this time he's talking about Superman. The tweets come after news that Patty Jenkins' version of Wonder Woman 3 was not moving forward, and that Henry Cavill's reprisal of the Man of Steel might not be happening. We're going to talk a little bit about this Patty Jenkins thing too. Gunn tweeted the poster of Superman celebrating the premiere 44 years ago of the 1978 film, that starred Christopher Reeve in the titular role. That's still, to this day, one of my, it's got to be in my top 5. My personal, not my personal top 5 superhero movies, because it was the movie that started it all for me. So anywho, This opened up the forum for comic book fans to ask Gunn about the future of Superman as he works with co-head Peter Safran in molding the future of the DC universe. Okay, one of the tweets that Gunn replied to was from a Twitter user asking if we're going to see a Superman in the new era, as we've been starved of the greatest comic book character on the big screen for ages. Gunn replied, "Yep, of course. Superman is a huge priority, if not the biggest priority." So that's James Gunn. That is him answering a fan who asked a sincere question. Another fan claimed, and this is where Josh enters the chat. Another fan claimed that Gunn does not like Henry Cavill, being that the report unleashed earlier this week said that the Witcher actor was not guaranteed to return to his role in the DC universe as it was expected. After the comment, another fan asked Gunn to debunk that claim, to which the Suicide Squad director said, "Sure, false." Cavill reprised his role of Superman in Black Adam, with Dwayne Johnson a massive supporter to bring the actor back as Superman. Johnson revealed, we're going to talk about Dwayne Johnson too. I wrote it up on my board to remind me, but the board is covered with my new background. So anywho, we're going to talk about Dwayne Johnson. Johnson revealed that the previous leaders of the DC universe were not keen on having Cavill return, but he ultimately made it happen as he feels Superman was the only adversary to Black Adam, which is incorrect, because the only adversary that has ever really been for Black Adam was Shazam. He didn't want to fight Shazam because for whatever reason, Shazam, he didn't want his coming out party to be against Shazam. But that is the Black Adam foe, nemesis. Anyway, the future of Black Adam and Superman sequels remain to be seen, and after Wonder Woman 3 was axed for now, Gunn is asking fans to be patient as the transition happens. We know we're not going to make every single person happy every step of the way, but we can promise everything we do is done in service of the story and in the service of the DC characters we know you cherish and we have cherished our whole lives. As for more answers about the future of the DCU, I will sadly have to ask you to wait. We are giving these characters and the stories the time and attention they deserve, and we ourselves still have a lot more questions to ask and answer. I like what James Gunn said, because again, he's not giving anybody any false hope. Everybody's not going to be happy. In fact, it's the Snyderverse people especially. I think he's trying to let them down easy, but they keep coming out and saying things. And I think Josh is a Snyderverse, but they keep coming out and saying things and attributing it to him, and he keeps correcting people. He's not trying to give them false hope, especially because they are such a loud and vocal part of the fandom. The Wonder Woman thing, let's talk about that for just a second, because Wonder Woman, the first Wonder Woman movie was so fantastic. Gosh, that second Wonder Woman movie was garbage. It was bad. It was really bad. Not just the decision to kind of make Steve Trevor continue to be central in her life, but just the story itself was a little muddy, and it was a waste to me of Pedro Pascal in the role of, and I forgot the name of the villain, but in that villain role, waste of his talent. Anyway, she turned in, Patty Jenkins being she turned in the treatment for the third Wonder Woman story to complete the trilogy, and Warner Brothers did not accept that treatment. They said that she could go back and write a different story, but that story they weren't going to run with. Patty Jenkins says, well, if you don't run with this story, then you won't run with, I'm just going to have to walk away from the project. I'm not writing it over. She obviously had a plan of the way she wanted the Wonder Woman story to go, and when they didn't want to go that way, she walked away. Okay. people were saying at that point, oh, Wonder Woman is done. I don't think Wonder Woman is done. I think that this is a creator and the studio having going at odds with one another, and the creator saying, I'll take my talents elsewhere. If what is being reported, if that third Wonder Woman movie, if the treatment, the story was what is being leaked out there, it's not a movie I'd want to see. Let me find what they said this movie was going to be about. Again, sometimes people make stuff up, and when people make things up, they usually make it up in the worst way possible. I'm losing my voice, guys. Again, this is why I haven't been talking a lot. I do these freaking videos, and I'm talking a little bit. I guess because I'm doing videos and trying to stream, I'm talking a little bit more than usual, and my vocal cords are rebelling. Let me see if this is going to tell us what this doggone story was supposed to be about. So now, let's see. I wish I want. Like I said, Patty Jenkins could rewrite the story. Because you get to be a little sensitive when people tell you that what you have created or that is not right. You start to feel judged, and then you got a new regime, and they're like, it starts to feel like, oh, now these people are going to start being critical of the things that I turn in because they're new. So maybe she felt a little some way, and maybe she will come in and rewrite it. But for right now, she is not attached to the next Wonder Woman program. Patty Jenkins isn't. Let's see. I'm trying to see if they got that stupid story. And I can't find it. I can't find what Patty Jenkins Wonder Woman 3 plots. That's what I want to know. It is a leak. I hate leaks sometimes because but Collider is reporting it and the Wrap is reporting it. So can it really be that bad? Let's see. Oh no, that's not it. This is an old one. This is old. This is the Wrap. Last week, Jenkins turned in her treatment for Wonder Woman 3 to the studio. Warner Brothers Group, Michael DeLuca and Pamela Abdy didn't think the treatment worked and decided not to move forward with the film in its current iteration. Gunn and Safran had no part of this decision. But they also said whatever DeLuca and Abdy want, we roll with it. So they spoke to Jenkins, communicated they didn't get the treatment, didn't think it was the right direction for the character, and they wanted to see if she could pitch going a different direction. Jenkins refused, told DeLuca and Abdy that they were wrong. They didn't understand her. They didn't understand the character. They didn't understand character arcs, and they didn't understand what Jenkins was trying to do. To underscore her point, according to an insider, Jenkins sent an email to DeLuca that ended with a link to the Wikipedia definition of character arc. Jenkins was told if she wanted to come back and pitch a different direction, that she could. She said nope. If they didn't want her to do her treatment, she wasn't going to do a different one and would just move on to her next film. So I'm still trying to find what they said this thing was about, because the story was one that I would not want to hear. Damn. Gosh, I hate that I can't think of what the can't think of what they said that this thing was about. And it makes me mad because it was terrible. It was something that I would definitely not want to see. And maybe it's been scrubbed from everywhere because that wasn't true. But it did concern Steve Trevor coming back in some way, shape. Oh, it concerned her trying to put Steve Trevor in the Lazarus pit. And I'm like, why do we keep trying to dig Steve Trevor up? Why do we keep trying to make this a thing? We need to stop with Steve Trevor. We need to it's time for Wonder Woman to get past Steve Trevor. It's just, why are we dwelling in this place? Because now the movie becomes, or the story becomes less about Wonder Woman and more about Wonder Woman's romance with Steve Trevor. Yes, Clarence, she did. That last movie was all Patty Jenkins, and that last movie was bad. It was bad. So now they're talking about, that's what I heard anyway, and I really hope that she wasn't trying to pull the Steve Trevor trick again, because again, this movie, the thing that worked the most about Wonder Woman, especially the first Wonder Woman, is how strong she was. Even though, yes, she allowed herself to be soft for this man. And that was wonderful. That was beautiful. But she had already been hundreds of years without a man. So you telling me that now all of a sudden she done got a little taste of that and now all of a sudden her nose is so wide open that all she thinks about is this man? That, number one, okay, she lost him, that she had time for heartbreak. Not only did she have time, she had time from World War II or World War I? She had time from the World War era all the way up until the 80s to get over Steve Trevor. And then all of a sudden he just shows back up in somebody else's body. And all over again, she's all weak in the knees for Steve Trevor. And then you're telling me that now we're moving from 1980s to probably present day. We still have Wonder Woman still trying to figure out ways to get Steve Trevor alive. There are many more men out there. There really are. And I'm not saying that we all don't have that one special love, but that's pushing it, Patty. If you was about to bring Steve Trevor back because Chris Pine and you have such a good working relationship or whatever, you were going in the wrong direction with this character. That wasn't going to be good. So if they squashed it because of Steve Trevor, then I'm glad they did, because it was not going to be well received by regular fans. There are too many other Wonder Woman stories to tell, other than to keep bringing Steve Trevor ass up out of the grave. Let that man rest in peace. Okay, I was going to talk about Dwayne Johnson really quick, and for two reasons. Reason number one, somebody wrote an article talking about how Black Adam was going to lose money for the studio. And Dwayne Johnson took to Twitter to respond. He took to Twitter to respond saying that no, and he had some type of proof that Black Adam was not going to end up in the red. Black Adam was going to be a profitable movie. I don't know what proof he could possibly have, because Black Adam, let's go back to my numbers. And I just for shits and giggles, because we know that just doing math, just simple math in your head, we don't even need to know the real numbers. Simple math in your head says that there is no way that a movie that you spent 250 or 200 some odd $million making, then you had to market it, is about to be profitable when it only has made like $400 million. It's not possible. But I'm going to go worldwide box office. We're going to find Black Adam worldwide has made $389 million. $389 million. That's what Black Panther Wakanda Forever made in 4 weeks. Domestically, not even worldwide, domestically. Not comparing them, but $389 million ain't gonna cut it. This thing needed to finish at least at $600 million for it to start turning a profit. Just math alone tells you that. So I don't know where he got these numbers from. There are people who are saying that he leaked information that just basically wasn't true. I don't know if he is deluded into thinking that this movie is going to be profitable. I don't know. It might become profitable. It might become profitable in when you release it for digital, which is already out on digital. And, when you start factoring those things in, but once it hits, and it's going to hit, as a matter of fact, it's going to hit HBO Max on December 16th. Once it hits HBO Max, ain't no more making money off of it like that, because then you're going to have people pirating it. Now, I can watch it on HBO Max if I have a subscription, or I can just wait for people to start pirating the movie. And now I don't have to pay anything to watch it. Yeah, this one, they fumbled the bag with Black Adam, if you ask me. But I'm trying to find, see, Looper. I don't know. People are, I don't want to touch, I want a good trade, because Collider is decent. The Direct is decent. I use them a lot. But yeah, before I move on to the next thing that I want to talk about The Rock, I'm going to pick this Direct article up, because one thing I like about them is that they do try to do their due diligence in putting the right information. I don't want to go to no site where people just put out stuff just for the shock value of it. The story says, and this is from yesterday, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson allegedly leaked inaccurate financial information about Black Adam's profitability to the press. DC's most recent theatrical release following the journey of Teth Adam and the Justice Society of America was not a smash hit at the box office. However, Black Adam also was not a complete flop like Morbius. The indistinct range of money making has left news outlets debating whether the film will be profitable for Warner Brothers. A report from earlier this month stated the film would lose the studio between $50 to $100 million, and that sounds fair, causing tectonic rumbling around the industry of how Black Adam was another DC failure. In response, another report was released to Deadline, which Johnson quickly supported in an effort to assure people that the film will turn a profit. Deadline is where I saw it. New information has just been released on the conflicting reports. Puck's Matt Baloney revealed in a newsletter that Team Dwayne Johnson leaked the story to Deadline, according to several Warner executives. So this could just be a rumor. The report, which Baloney called filled with false assumptions, indicated Black Adam is turning a profit of about $52 to $72 million. All revenue factors, including video on demand and Blu-ray, were taken into account. Baloney went on to call this one of the sillier trade stories of all time and doubts that the film will reach the home entertainment numbers Johnson is expecting. The industry insider also shared his belief that the $100 million global marketing figure provided was misleading. He finalizes his Black Adam discussion with the fact that nearly all movies of this size will ultimately pencil out, but that won't mean it's considered a worthwhile movie. The truth about Black Adam is, as Baloney sarcastically wrote, this kind of stuff doesn't happen at Marvel. I don't like that comparison thing, but it's a fact. This would not be happening at Marvel Studios. The studio Warner Brothers has watched turn into Hollywood's powerhouse. Black Adam was never going to be as significant a hit amongst fans as a typical MCU film, despite The Rock's direct comparison to Captain America: The First Avenger. Now, what I think about Black Adam, and was this going to be doing MCU numbers? I never thought it would do MCU numbers. I thought it would do better because it had Dwayne Johnson in it. It's just simple. I just thought that Dwayne Johnson would automatically lure people to the theaters, but that was not the case for this movie. Yeah, Vin Diesel. And I mean, what was it about this movie and the marketing for the movie that made people not come out for it? Because Clarence, you saw the movie. You said you thought it was a good time. So that means that something in the marketing said, "I'm not going." That it wasn't. Well, it was some bad reviews. There were a lot of bad reviews, but people still went out to see Morbius. Maybe not in the numbers that you would hope, but people still, I don't know. Have people really given up? Okay, so we got a couple of things it could be. Let's just look at this and be critical over where the breakdown could have happened. It could just be the marketing was not what it could have or should have been, and people just didn't show up for it because of that. So there's that. It could be that these fan movements where all these people are talking all this ish about what movie they're not going to see and this and that. Maybe it hurt. Maybe it did hurt Black Adam because the entire fandom was not on board with the direction that the studio was going. Okay, so Clarence, you said it was cookie cutter, but it was kind of what it was needed to establish a new character. I mean, okay, so when we talk about the stuff like that, compare new character, Shang-Chi and Black Adam, both new characters. One did significantly better than the other. Let me find Shang-Chi's number. I need to share a screen. Okay, so Shang-Chi, to be fair, did not make as much. In my mind, it made more than it did, really, because $432 million worldwide, but in the middle of a pandemic. How much more money would that movie have made if it didn't come out in September of 2021, if it came out in September of 22? But I also want to look at budgets. They had to have a big budget. Yeah, 150 to 200 million, and it made 432 million at the box office. So, in a regular a regular economy, not a pandemic economy, that would not be good. But in a pandemic economy, that was fantastic. You think Shang-Chi and Black Panther are exceptions to the rule? Okay, we'll go. Instead of Shang-Chi, I'll pull Doctor Strange. That was years ago. So we should have the benefit of inflation, right? The original Doctor Strange in 2016, $677 million worldwide. Let's go Ant-Man, because that is like, to me, that wasn't, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't the best of the MCU. Ant-Man worldwide, $519 million. No Dwayne Johnson, no big personality. You got Paul Rudd, who is loved, a loved character. You got Michael Douglas, who is an aging loved character. You had really nothing else. Yeah, I think something had to be wrong with what they did as far as marketing that movie, because you have the single most marketable actor almost in the world. If there may be a few that can pull in as much or more money with just their name being attached. And I'm talking actors, not directors, because there are directors who go with the booties in the seats no matter what. But then he's got to be one of the biggest actors in the world. And you had the Superman cameo. I don't know. And I agree. I don't watch commercials, and I saw a lot of commercials too, Clarence. But was the marketing intriguing enough? Was it what the undecided audience wanted to see? Because there are us, like if I wasn't going through, the things that I'm going through right now, I would have gone to see that movie. If I was more in a better financial position and the such, I would have gone out to see that movie. You see, I made it a point to go see Wakanda Forever. I would have gone to see that movie regardless of what the marketing looked like for Black Adam. But as far as your more casual movie goer, more casual superhero movie fan, what wasn't present? What part of it wasn't attractive to them? He should have appealed to that wrestling fan base. Yep, he should have went to the WWE and did a couple of shows. Well, maybe not dressed as Black Adam. That might have been a little bit of the a little bit too on the nose. But yeah, he could have marketed to that crowd a bit more. Something wasn't right. Something wasn't right. Now, before I move on to Michelle Yeoh, because that's the conversation that I've been dying to have, because every week it's been something else celebrating Michelle Yeoh, and I'm so happy for her. Before we start talking about that, Joe Rogan made the observation that it's time for Dwayne Johnson to come clean. Now look, like you said, in a perfect world, he would have been fighting Superman. But, and I mean, really though, Shazam is his comic book nemesis. We just go skip Shazam and put him on Superman. I don't like the fact that they're doing that, and it doesn't bother me enough to say I won't support movies and this and that. I'm not going to go that far. But the fact that he keeps saying that the only person that he could be fight against, the only person who can beat him was Superman. No, if enough people who have read the comic books know that no, Shazam handles Black Adam regularly in the comic books. So why are you trying to make it the Superman thing? Like the only person that he would consider losing to in the DCU would be Superman. Because The Rock does have that clause that he can't lose a fight. That's one of the things in his contract. He cannot go out a loser. So is that why he doesn't want to fight Shazam because and have to get around that clause in his contract because Shazam to him seems like a lesser character. So you say the first movie, Cliffhanger, he beats Superman. The second movie, Soups and Shazam team up. It shouldn't take both of them. In fact, comic book, depending on which run of the comics, Superman can't do nothing with the magic of Black Adam. So Superman loses. But once it's magic versus magic with Shazam versus Black Adam, Shazam always wins. It's not easy, but he wins. Yeah, see, and that could be a problem when you start thinking about the fact that I know that even though I'm not about to hold it against the DC universe if they went in a different direction, but I do know that Shazam handles Black Adam. It's never easy, but he always comes out on top. Maybe there are other fans who are not as flexible, who say, you know what, Black Adam is a Shazam enemy, and he's supposed to lose. Maybe there is enough, maybe there's enough of those people who say, I'm not going because this is not comic book accurate. And I dislike that argument because why? When you know what's going to happen in the comic books, why do you want to see it in the movie? I say the same thing to my brother. My brother is one of those. He's a purist. So me and my brother will debate about this type of thing, and I can understand that there are other people who feel the same way. I mean, it's just like recently finding out that Queen Latifah has an I can't die stipulation in her contract because of what happened and set it off. So she's like, she's never to die again in a movie. And so if we get Queen Latifah showing up in a movie, guess what? We already know that she's going to survive because somehow she's going to come out of the thing alive. To learn those kinds of clauses being in their contract, it kind of takes the mystery and mystique out of the movie. Whatever movie they're in, you know that they are in no mortal peril. They will come out on top, just in case there's a sequel. They got to come back and make some money. I say, who has an I can't lose stipulation in his contract? The Rock. I wouldn't doubt it if Vin Diesel had one. And I wouldn't doubt if he had one too. Now, what was I going to say? Oh, Joe Rogan was talking about Dwayne Johnson. Now, if you've been following this guy, he's a YouTuber, called himself the Liver King. And the Liver King is this big old buff guy. And he goes on YouTube telling people how to get his physique, what to eat, how you have to go back to eating the way our hunt and gatherer ancestors ate, and he eats a whole lot of liver, and he does a whole lot of weightlifting, and you know those big old men. Well, come to find out, this man is on steroids. Those no spoilers. I just came straight out, just hit you with the. He is on steroids. It was leaked in some emails that this guy is on steroids. So you have people buying these supplements and stuff from you and trying to eat like you and wondering why they're not getting your physique. It's because they're not taking steroids. Ta-da! So Joe Rogan was discussing the Liver King and how it was obvious, especially when a person gets to a certain age, that if they are building that much mass, that it is impossible for an aging body, to go from one extreme to the other without some type of outside help. This is where Dwayne Johnson enters the chat, because Joe Rogan is like, at this point, he wants Dwayne Johnson to come clean, to say, I'm juicing. The way that I can go from being super bulked up the way we saw him, maybe even in Black Adam, to becoming a more slimmed down Rock like we've seen. And I'm not saying he's never small, but he's gotten massive for some roles, and then he goes back down to regular size Dwayne Johnson for others. And I'm wondering, is he juicing? Is The Rock on steroids? I'm not saying he is. I'm asking the question because when people who do extreme weightlifting are saying that is not possible at your age to go from one extreme to the other, back and forth, it's not possible to do that, then I have to wonder if you are taking steroids. So Clarence says if they are not on steroids, they're on some barely legal substance, and I can dig that. But intensive training probably does contribute. I think that The Rock could put on more muscle, because we've seen The Rock be less buff and cut. But when I think I was watching a true crime documentary about this bodybuilder. A female bodybuilder was married to a male bodybuilder, and they had beautiful little bodybuilder children. No, they didn't have beautiful bodybuilder children, but they were married. And from the standpoint of, or from the point of just being muscular, to the taking it to the next level when they started using steroids, it was an obvious. And I'm sure that they were taking more steroids than what somebody who's just trying to get a little cut would take. But when I looked at like the lady in the show that I'm in the movie I'm talking about, she was super cut, like back was just cut up, just it was it's actually very scary when you start to be able to see every muscle. And we have seen Dwayne Johnson not get to the point in a very long time, but he's gotten hella close to being that beefed up. And I am wondering what else he's doing besides eating those crazy meals that we see him posted on social media, all the food that he eats. And while I believe that it is necessary to carb load like that, and it is necessary to eat that much protein, I still think that he could be getting a little help. And if he is, the question is, should he be transparent about it? And my answer is no. I want to know the answer. I do want to know if he's juicing, but I don't think he should ever come out and say that he is, if he is, because he has the benefit of having trainers and probably the best of the best of the best, to include the best steroids if he's using them. And everybody out here doesn't have that. So to find out that the only way I'm going to ever get the physique lock that I've been chasing by lifting these weights and eating 7 steaks and the such is by supplementing it with steroids or something similar. I think that it's more dangerous for the everyman to try to do that. The guy, the Liver King guy, I think that some of the supplements that he was using was like $11,000 per month. Regular people don't have $11,000 disposable income per month for just a supplement. So if you then you start taking shortcuts, so you start doing things, haphazardly, and the potential for these people who try to emulate the Rock, the King, even, that it's the potentiality for them to have a horrible result exists, and I would prefer that they didn't do that. So I hope the Rock, maybe we should just go out into the sunset believing that the Rock just lifts a lot of weights and that he just trains really hard. Him and Chris Hemsworth. Now, I'm not saying Chris Hemsworth is younger. Let me look at his age. Chris Hemsworth is younger, but I still believe when I saw him for Thor: Love and Thunder, absolutely ridiculous. His body is ridiculous, and it's actually unattractively. It's always nice to look at. That is a very unattractive to me. If there are other people who feel differently, that is an unattractive amount of bulk on a person. But Chris Hemsworth is 39 years old, so yeah, I think he might be juicing too. Killer Sally, yes, that's it. That's the one I watched that the other day, Clarence. And yeah, and I really believe that she was in a roid rage, and the jealousy thing. I think she was jealous because he was stepping on out. Talking about, there are parts where the friends were like, "Oh, he was planning on leaving her." No, he wasn't. She was his cash cow. He wasn't trying to use the other lady. He really cared and loved her. He stayed with Sally because he could use Sally. And yeah, I watched that, Clarence. And yeah, she killed him. And to be quite frank, if that day that they had the last argument that they had, and it ended up her shooting him, if that was just a fit of jealousy on her behalf, if what is being said was true throughout that relationship, it was a million other times that she should have killed him and didn't. I don't know they did such a fine job to me of telling that story in such a way that you would oscillate between, he's a piece of crap and she did it out of jealousy, or they should have just broke up, and I wasn't 100% sure how I felt until, or even after the movie went off, the documentary went off. I will say this, and y'all know, I'm not looking for boyfriend. I'm not looking for a relationship. This is an observation that there are 1,000,000,003 Black women out here who are looking for boyfriends, who are looking for relationships, and can't find one. You got this white woman who been locked up for damn near 20 years, killed her last husband. You done seen her wrestling and fighting. You done heard the worst of her, how her anger issues are, and she can still walk right straight out of prison and find her man. It's an amazing, to me, it's an amazing phenomenon that it just is so disheartening for Black women in the places that you are, because are you serious? But anywho, that's a whole different conversation for a whole different day, probably for a different audience. I need an audience full of women just to see how they feel once you find out at the end of this whole thing, she walked straight out of prison and snatched her one up. Okay, finally, Michelle Yeoh. Michelle Yeoh is 60 years old, y'all. Like, you hear that? 60 years old. This is what I like um, about what's going on with her and her career right now. There are a lot of people who can say, "Oh, this is a young woman's game." Hollywood, once you get to a certain age, you can't get cast anymore. And when you do get cast, they don't allow you to be strong. You have to be, somebody's grandmama or something. And then there's Michelle Yeoh. And Jamie Lee Curtis to an extent, but Michelle Yeoh is having a freaking year. And I love it. I love it. First and foremost, I've loved Michelle Yeoh for a long time. When I saw her show up in Star Trek Discovery, she's playing Philippa Georgiou, I was ecstatic. And then I was so upset when she was killed off first season. And I was like, damn, are we going to not see her again? Until we started realizing that, okay, this is part of an arc for this character. So we got to see the different version of her. And we got to see her move from that IP to other, namely Marvel. That was the next place that I was like, oh my God, they got her. It was crazy. Rich Asians, Shang-Chi, The School for Good and Evil, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, which is a movie that I still have not seen. I got to find a way. I got to find some money so I can get Showtime, because that is where it is playing. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once is the one that really has blown her up. In fact, she has got Golden Globe nominations. We're almost expecting Oscar buzz for Michelle Yeoh this year. This is at Michelle Yeoh at 60 years old is experiencing a resurgence like no other actress her age. And she's Asian. It's not even a white woman doing it. It's not, this is not your typical story. This is an Asian actress who has come back on the scene stronger than ever before, playing some roles that fit the character of a 60-year-old woman who is in, the prime of her career, basically. We're going to see her in Avatar. I don't know if we're going to see her in the second Avatar, if it's not until the third Avatar that she starts showing up. But I need to look that up. I need to look that up. Just this year, though, this year has been insane for this woman. She's in The Witcher, which I've forgotten about. Let's see. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, Crazy Rich Asians, of course, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. That's 20 years ago. Tomorrow Never Dies was even longer ago. Let's see. So for 2022 alone, it was The School for Good and Evil, Paws of Fury, The Legend of Hank. She was the voice of Yuki. The Rise of Gru Minions. She was the voice of Master Show. Everything Everywhere All at Once. She was Evelyn Wang. Then we go into 2021. Shang-Chi and the Legend of Ten Rings. She was Ying Nan. Gunpowder Milkshake. She was Florence. And Star Trek Discovery, of course, Philippa Giorgio. So, and the last, I want to say these last 5 to 10 years have been absolutely bonkers for her, but this year has just been spectacular. She still has 12 projects upcoming. Again, The Witcher, Ark, the animated series, Transformers, Rise of the Beasts, A Haunting in Venice, American Born Chinese, The Brother's Son, The Tiger's Apprentice, Avatar 3, Wicked. She's going to be in Wicked. Yes. Avatar 4, Avatar 5. She is everywhere. She's set up all the way up until 2028 for right now. She has movies lined up. And then she's also the Time Magazine Icon of the Year, and I've got to pull the picture. I don't know why I didn't have this picture loaded, because I have to pull this picture up because she looked so stunning on the cover of the Time Magazine thing with her Icon of the Year. I gotta close some of this stuff up. Lord have mercy. I think I might have to call it after we talk about Michelle Yeoh. My freaking voice is ready to dip on me. While I'm looking for that, another thing that made me talk for quite a bit, maybe an hour and a half of talking to this young lady who interviewed me for a research paper that she's doing for where she talks about the true crime and how women are so into it. And I am one of those women. And if you didn't know, I used to do a true crime podcast, and she came across the podcast and she reached out. She wanted to talk to me about the origins of my my enthusiasm for true crime and some of just what I think about true crime in general. Had a wonderful conversation. She shared a lot of good information with me. I can't wait to see where she goes next with the paper and all of this stuff. But yeah. So that was last week, the day that I typically would do weekly wrap up. I was doing that, and that's why last week we didn't even have one. Okay. I've got to share this picture. She looks so beautiful. And I was just so happy that she's getting her flowers. It really does. I'm going too big. It really does make me happy that this lady is getting her flowers while she can appreciate them, because if you don't move, because she is she is an inspiration to not just me, of course. I'm inspired by her, but I think that there is a group, young Asian actors and actresses, kids who want to see that they too can, what they can accomplish. And not only as far as kids. Look at this woman at 60 years old. I'm trying to tell you, it's hard to express how impressed I am with Michelle Yeoh. And she's still very flexible. She can still do a lot of the things that she could do in 1997 when we saw her in No Time to Die, or in the early 2000s, in the year 2000 when we saw her in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. She is still capable. She kept herself up very well. She's still very beautiful, very strong. She also was just named not just the Time Icon of the Year. It was something else. I wish I could remember what it was right now. Let me look it up. But yeah, it was the New York Times something. It was the New York Times something or the other. I can't think of what it was. Let's go to news for Michelle Yeoh. Okay, so she's nominated for Best Actress at the Golden Globes. And like I said, we will be hearing Oscar buzz probably for Everything Everywhere All at Once. And the Malaysian newspapers and outlets are, boy, they are so proud of their girl. And I'm proud of her too. I am. So Michelle Yeoh accepts Santa Barbara Film Fest Kirk Douglas Award. She's won that. She was at the Santa Barbara International Film Fest. We talked about that. Gosh, I can't remember. I can't find what her other honor was besides the Time Magazine Icon of the Year. I suck. I can't find it, and I'm not about to kill a whole bunch of time trying to find it. I think I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do a video on that. This one, Michelle Yeoh's 15 best movies ranked. I might do a video about that. I am really and truly just in awe. It makes me wonder though, because of her heightened popularity, are we going to ever get that Philippa Giorgio Section 31 show? I've not heard anything more about it. I haven't heard her mention it. She has talked about the Crazy Rich Asians sequel. I haven't heard her talk about the Star Trek universe. It's going to make me mad. Oh gosh. It's kind of making me mad. So yeah, I'm not going to keep us up for too much longer. God, what time did I start? 12:30. Yeah, I'm not going to keep this up for too much longer. um, I just wanted to touch on those things, especially the Michelle Yeoh thing, and especially, all of this. This was wonderful. So, with all that being said, I don't have too much more. I will try to be back before. Let me see. The 16th. I said this is something I did want to share. We were doing. Well, I went on Discord, did a little talk. I didn't have nobody, but it was good to bounce some ideas and put some ideas into the air, right? So I'm moving on to doing that probably a little bit more often. And what I wanted to do, since we can't do it anywhere else, is a holiday watch along of maybe Hawkeye on Discord. So if we're gonna do a watch along, and I think it's 6 episodes of Hawkeye, it needs to start on the 15th, because I want to be done with it well before Christmas. So yeah, do it on the 15th. And on the 15th, I might try to sit down, turn on Hawkeye, and watch the first episode, but I'll do it over on Discord. And I will probably put a time in the Discord. If you want to join the Discord, do that in the descriptions or show notes of this video. So with all that being said, I've got nothing else. I will see you in the next one. Peace.